Joseph Rogan, Dragon Believer, is, let's just say, crashing out. So, Joe Rogan's been on a generational run. Biggest podcast in the world, has all these guests, all these people. He had Trump, he had Vance again, he had Elon, he had Kash Patel, all the FBI guys, the CIA guys. And he is starting to realize something a little bit controversial. He is starting to think about if he is, in fact, a useful idiot. If he is, in fact, pushing agenda of the actual organizations that he spent so hard, so many years fighting against big government to basically become a useful talking head for big government. And he is coming to this realization in real time, and it's a little bit awesome, to be honest. It's really funny. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is a big conversation point for good reason, right? Jeffrey Epstein, he does exist, he doesn't exist, there was files, there wasn't files, and there's brand new Trump revelations about Epstein. And I am very excited to do this deep dive today, because this is really, really fun. So lock in, boys and girls. We are about to watch Joe Rogan realize he's compromised.
There's no presidential election.
Supposedly Jeffrey Epstein said to his brother or to someone, if people knew what I knew, both candidates in the presidential election would have to step down. That's a quote. Jamie can find that.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Turns out every politician has some dirt. But again, this is what Jeffrey Epstein said. Are you gonna believe him? You're gonna believe Jeffrey? You're gonna believe Jeffers, the fucking pedophile king? All right, dude. So, you know, whenever I hear like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein said that. Yeah, but Jeffrey Epstein also raped children. So I don't actually fucking care. Thanks to the 10 subs to Static Cat. So anyway, he just did a podcast episode. Clearly, visibly rattled by this shit. Yeah, it's almost like you wonder why both sides are sealing the files. Because both sides don't want people to know what actually fucking went down. So, Jeffrey Epstein recently did a podcast with Tim Dillon, just yesterday, actually. And on this podcast with Tim Dillon, let's just say a lot of really diabolical information was revealed. To the point that he is losing his mind in real time that he is compromised.
There's definitely, and it's been exposed, I think, by the Epstein thing, there's an entire ecosystem of depravity amongst the ruling elites.
You know who's been saying this for years? This guy! Y'all called me a fucking freak when I said that all the elites were pedophiles. I don't know. Maybe not all the elites. But I am just gonna be real. I've been saying this forever. It's the most evil satanic shit in the universe. And the higher position of power you're in, the more likely Satan will want to use you for his whims. All right, and also you become a fucking elite asshole, and all of a sudden you want to get away with doing literally everything in the universe in the most evil depravity of all time. So realistically, I've been saying for a long time, I've made this joke, joke in quotation marks, joke, get it? Ha ha ha, joke. So I made this joke that every time there's a new election, you're either voting for the red satanic pedophiles or the blue satanic pedophiles. But I'll be real, this joke is getting a lot less funny as it turns out to be more and more correct every day. All right, it's a little fucking terrifying. But realistically, people are starting to really notice the thing that I've said for a while, and that before me, fucking Alex Jones said this a decade ago. And suspiciously, they banned him from basically all platforms.
People go to great lengths to cover up. This is obvious. So,
and always has
forever and ever and ever. And it would be absolutely plausible to me that people have died to cover this stuff up, as Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, many others, maybe Virginia Giuffre, I don't know. But there's tons of questionable deaths.
Yeah, there's too many coincidental deaths. I mean, look, when it comes to political deaths, in Germany right now, I'm going to pull this up for you because you're going to freak out. I mentioned in a video last week that 7 German politicians from the AfD party, which is the right-wing party in Germany, the nationalist party, 7 of them were killed. Died of natural causes, all at the same time, right before an election. Right, they weren't killed. My bad. Oopsie. They died of natural causes. Lots of heart attacks. I don't know who fucking has the death note, but that shit's been going on, and it's a little bit terrifying. But would you be surprised if I told you that the numbers are now at 16? 16 German politicians died before they were due to stand in state elections, sparking wild conspiracy theories. Yeah, wild conspiracy theories. Wow, how wild of a conspiracy theory that 16 politicians from the same fucking political party all died at the same time of quote-unquote natural causes. The right-wing party in Germany is a anti-immigration party because Germany has been taken over by immigrants. Germany is 2 steps away from becoming an Islamic country. So suspiciously, the people that are against this globalist agenda of importing fucking everyone, 16 of them suspiciously coincidentally died at the same time, all of natural causes. So many natural deaths. Yesterday I read there were 7 dead. Can you give us a source of this article? The Daily Mail. It's a thing. This is crazy. What the fuck are we doing, guys? What are we doing, bro? What's going on?
Linked to the Epstein thing. And, by the way, linked to things like the Franklin scandal that happened many years ago. All of the Gary Caradori was an investigator who supposedly had proof of politicians abusing children. Plane goes down with his kid.
Whitewater.
Yeah.
Right, so suspiciously, all these conspiracy theories, and every time you get called a conspiracy theory, what a conspiracy theorist, you're probably insane. Now, this is crazy. And Tim Dillon also said some other things that I personally wanted to show you this clip, not because this is on point, but I do think it is more accurately on point than anyone actually gives it credit for. All right, I'm going to show you this clip and I'm going to tell you my opinion. This is one of my incredibly hot takes, the Nux hot takes. If you're a longtime enjoyer of the channel, you will recognize this one.
Well, but this is part of the problem in Western societies is we've told women that being a mother is not as fulfilling as working in a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
And I don't know any women that are mothers that regret it or are unhappy. Most of the happiest people I know are women with children. Yeah. Truly.
Yeah, they're very happy if that's what they want.
And Joe Rogan falls back into his fucking retard delusion of if that's what they want, of course. Don't worry, I'm going to give you my hot take in a minute.
If they're very miserable, if that's not what they want.
I'm not saying they all should have children, but there's a lot of people, when you meet a young couple with children, I've never met happier people personally than that.
You want to know my hot take? I think it's a government fucking agenda as well. I think the same people that are closing the borders are the same people that are telling women not to have children. I think the same people that are fucking telling you to let in infinite immigrants from India and Pakistan, I think those are the same people that are telling women to abort their babies. I think it's the same fucking cult that has a vice grip on the entire fucking government that is essentially pushing all of this same fucking agenda. Now, I'm not going into the whole population control, great replacement theory. You could have whatever conclusion you want, but my hot take is it is by design that not only are they preventing these women from having children, but I think that they're preventing people from being happy. I think that this is mass propaganda to prevent people from being happy because, yes, women are happiest when they have kids. That is a fact, a biological fact of life, a witnessable, true fact that you could tell. Now, obviously, everyone's different. Some people want to do this, some people want to do that, but the way society pushes you that you should get a career, and that is the ultimate way to live your life. With, the ultimate way, obviously, is just, winning the lottery and sitting back and doing fucking nothing. But having a career is considered the zenith of the human experience. When it's not. The zenith of the human experience is having a spouse, having children, and building a wonderful life together where you could pass on what you've created to the next generation. That's the zenith of the human experience. Emulating God. God created life, and so should you. Now, that's the Nux hot take. The Nux hot take is, this is ultimately antithetical to, in my opinion, a prosperous lifestyle. I think it is clearly satanic. And there is, I can't even think of a better word. It is the most anti-God perspective of life. Literally taking people and destroying their families, and destroying their ability to create a future. These are people that are going to die miserable, depressed, and alone. And it doesn't matter if they're a kick-ass career lawyer. It doesn't fucking matter when they're 60. When they're 60... and alone, and miserable, and jealous, and trying their best to convince the next generation they should also be alone, miserable, and jealous, those fucking people, are gonna try their best to do their absolute utmost to convince other people to join them in their fucking propaganda delusion world. And that is exactly what we're doing. Look, man, I'm not saying that it's done purposefully because it's a satanic cult that is pushing this shit. I just feel like immorality in general tends to align very much with Satanism. It's almost like it's a coincidence. See, I am very much of the belief that that there is objective good and objective evil, and whether you know that your demons are controlling you or not, I think that this is some evil fucking shit. It really is. It's immoral and it's destroying people's lives. And I think the reason why I wanted to show you this clip as a side-by-side with the Epstein thing is because I think that they're very much the same issue. I think there is a top-down issue of elites in the country, in the world, that are getting their elbows deep into an unbelievable amount of shit. And these motherfuckers are pushing their bullshit propaganda onto the world, where you have these fucking child trafficking situations where everyone is guilty of some evil shit, and where, yes, they are pushing women into not having children and dying miserable and alone. Now, there was a really interesting revelation in regards to the Epstein news. You can believe it or not, but this is Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. And this is what my guy had to say. He said something that, let's just say, blew the internet's mind. All right, so lock in, boys and girls.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago. And he's not. So
what he's saying here is that in the low audio that is in this Twitter clip, what he is saying here is that it's not, when Trump says that the Epstein stuff is a hoax, he doesn't mean that the women weren't raped. Of course he knows that there was an unspeakable tragedy. But notice something else he said in there.
Knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this. As real rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an
You're ready for this next clip? You're ready for what he's about to say?
FBI informant.
He's an FBI informant. Mike Johnson is saying that Trump was an informant for the FBI. That Trump was an informant to the FBI in regards to catching Epstein. Now, this is the history that Trump actually... In 2004, he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. In 2005, he reported Epstein's behavior to the authorities. In 2009, he cooperated with the Epstein victim's lawyer. In 2017, he signed an executive order targeting human trafficking. In 2019, Epstein was arrested during Trump's presidency. In 2019, the FBI raided on Epstein's island. 2025, released the Epstein files, phase 1, with kind of nothing. He was snitching on Epstein. Yes, it's true. He was snitching on Epstein. So that is what they're kind of implying, that Trump was basically the first guy to speak out about Epstein. In my opinion, Trump wasn't a politician at that point. In my opinion, that's why he was able to do it. He wasn't part of the fucking group order, the cabal, the global fucking freaks that are controlling shit. He was just a guy. He was just a dude. And at that point, and while he was just a guy and a dude, not really, some sort of politician or government official, he was able to get away with actually telling on them. And now that he is indoctrinated into the whole, politics shit, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's blackmail, I don't know if it'll get other people in trouble, I don't know what it is. Motherfucker is hiding some shit, alright, bro? Some shit's being hidden. Alright, so we'll see what happens. Who knows? Alright, we'll see what happens. So anyway, too lazy to try. I just saw his video on Alex Jones. He made a video, Joe Rogan realizes he might be compromised. And I think it's really interesting because Alex Jones, I think, has proven to basically be a mouthpiece for the government organizations that he has seeked so hard to destroy.
It's what bothers people about this Palantir thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
The Palantir thing is very odd.
A lot of people feel that...
Are you familiar with Palantir? Do you know what the Palantir thing is, by the way? Because this is one of the big conspiracy theories. And by conspiracy theory, I just mean it's really fucking scary. That's what I mean. It's not really a conspiracy. Palantir Technologies is an American publicly traded company specializing in software platforms for data mining. That's right, baby. That's right. Made by Peter Thiel and all these people. It had 4 operating systems, and essentially it's a spy network. It is an intelligence tool used by the police in many countries as a predictive policing system. And a lot of people are really, really scared that Palantir is going to start looking into every part of your fucking life and manipulate you and follow you around. Kind of creepy, right? But I'm going to show you something that's going to make you lose your mind. You are going to lose your fucking mind. Are you ready to lose your mind? Do you remember in Lord of the Rings Do you remember in Lord of the Rings where there were crystal balls that Sauron, the Dark Lord, gave to all the fucking wizards and all the powerful people to spy on them? Do you remember that? Do you remember the Lord of the Rings orbs? These guys? Would it shock you if you heard that these orbs in Lord of the Rings are called the Palantir? That they named the fucking technological company to spy on you off Sauron's orbs? Are you not shaking? They know they're evil. They know they're evil. Oh my god, they deliberately named it after the Palantir, the Dark Lord's orbs, to spy on you. All right, that's fucking scary as shit. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, that's crazy.
This is the precursor to a social credit score, a digital kind of police state. I just think, Peter Thiel is giving a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Odd.
4-part. Well, here's what's really
Holy
wild
shit.
to me. You build military AI, military drone, autonomous drone technology. To export to war zones all over the world. You build domestic surveillance technology to surveil our friends and neighbors.
Pretty weird.
And then your other pet passion is the Antichrist.
Pretty fucking weird, right? Pretty weird. You have this guy who's developing surveillance technology that he wants to use on everybody, and he also is a fan of the Antichrist. Or maybe not a fan, but someone that's really interested in the Antichrist. Come on, dude! What are we doing? What are we doing, bro? What is happening? Okay, what are we doing? It's pretty scary. Pretty creepy. Now, maybe this is just a conspiracy theory. All right? Maybe this is just a conspiracy theory. Now, personally, when it comes to stuff like Palantir, I do think that everything public should be scanned by the FBI. If there's public information out there, like, for example, you had that instance recently of this this guy that shot up a church in Minnesota. I feel like stuff like that could be avoided if someone was actually paying attention to the social media posts. So I would like if there was something like that, but the actual deep dive stalking shit, this is getting really fucking scary. Really fucking scary.
Find you when you're young and promising, like JD.
Well, that's the thing. JD,
Yeah, a lot of people are running this conspiracy theory that maybe JD Vance is a secret agent of the Palantir.
He's going to have to, if he wants to be the president, he's going to have to say, Peter Thiel,
is the Antichrist.
He's going to have to say, Peter Thiel is Satan, and here's why that's good.
All right, so it looks like Joe
What? What the fuck? All right, anyway.
Rogan has been in damage control
I know that Peter Thiel was like a mentor of JD Vance, but I'm a big fan of JD Vance, even though I don't like Peter Thiel.
mode after all the recent criticism he's been getting, especially from that elephant graveyard video.
Yeah, a lot of people have been shitting on Joe Rogan a lot recently. So this guy, the Elephant Graveyard, made a video that got 2 million views in 2 weeks, how the comedy was destroyed by an anti-reality doomsday cult. Essentially talking about how Joe Rogan was fucking groomed by rich fuckers. All right, he was literally groomed into this position. Literally groomed into the position where my guy is just a mouthpiece, a propaganda outlet for the government without even knowing he is. He thinks he's this really cool, really epic guy. This cool guy that goes against the grain. He fought against COVID, remember? He goes against the grain, but he's a psyop. I don't know. That's that, and he's like having some a fucking mental breakdown out there. It's awesome.
Has 2 million views now. I mean, you could tell this stuff has really been getting to him, and that's why last week he pretended to finally come to the realization that the government is using his podcast to push propaganda.
Yeah,
and
no
now
shit.
I think to respond to all the people claiming that Joe sold out to the tech oligarchs, we have Tim Dillon on his podcast criticizing and making fun of one of.
So he's actually trying so hard, bro. He's trying so hard to fight against this narrative that he's a useful idiot. That's crazy.
Joe's tech oligarch friend / handlers, Peter Thiel. And this is the first time on Rogan's podcast that anybody's really talked about Peter's controversial surveillance company, Palantir, or JD Vance's connection to Thiel and how he's basically a Manchurian candidate created by Thiel. I mean, even when Joe had him on his
That's the
podcast,
conspiracy.
he didn't ask him any questions about this stuff.
Yeah,
And
wow, I totally forgot Joe Rogan had Peter Thiel. Joe Rogan had the guy himself. Oh my God.
he was defensive of him up until this podcast. So I think he's been hearing the criticism and people saying he sold out to the tech oligarchs, and now he's trying to backpedal. Because last year, almost every week, he'd have on
Yeah,
the tech
true.
billionaire that's trying to
There
come
he is with Zuck, with Peter Thiel, fucking Elon Musk. So that's why a lot of people think that he literally just sold out for the big names, right? He had these opportunities to interview the president, the CIA guy, the FBI guy, all the fucking rich dudes. So dude ended up becoming just a really useful idiot. That's the argument. And he's shaking because I think even he thinks he was played at this point. Like, you could see him breaking in real time. He's like, is this actually my opinion, or was I psyoped to have this opinion?
About their agenda. But of course, Joe thinks his billionaire friends are the good ones.
I know multiple guys that are billionaires, and they're very nice people. They're very nice, and I can see how it happens.
But you're also friends with the cool billionaires.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you managed to find the cool ones.
Right.
Well, Elon's the coolest. He's my favorite billionaire.
And obviously with him because they're just trying to use this podcast.
Yeah, they're all glazing you, bro, because you have the biggest podcast on the planet. Listen, look, man, I don't hate Elon Musk, to be clear. I actually like a lot of what Elon Musk stands for. Like, bro, dude, please. Bro, these people have to stop making believe that the people that they meet online, that they literally both have interest from interviewing our friends. Like, I'll just give you an easy example. You would interview all of them? Of course I would interview them, absolutely. But, like, you have to understand something. Elon Musk gains by going on Joe Rogan. He gains in public appreciation. He gains for his fucking stock, all right? He gains for his stock prices. He gains for his Tesla, for SpaceX, for Grok, for Twitter. It makes him more personable, more likable, sure. And Joe Rogan gets a massive fucking episode interviewing Elon Musk, shadow president of the United States, or whatever the fuck they called him.
Peter Thiel had been doing behind the scenes for years. Like, Rogan's been friends with him, I think, since 2018, a couple years before he signed his Spotify deal, which Peter Thiel's a big stakeholder in Spotify. And also, a lot of Rogan's guests are connected to him, like have either worked for him, been in business with him, or friends with him, or funded by him. Ooh. Like, obviously, every tech guy Rogan has on is associated with him. Yeah. And a lot of Rogan's intellectual friends are, too.
Yeah, and Peter Thiel gets around. He's like one of those kind of shadowy figures. It's a little bit creepy. It really is.
Just a few that have mentioned it, and also Rogan talking about going to his house.
What made you want to dedicate so much time on this particular UAP, UFO, lost technology subject?
I was working at...
I feel like every single person could just go on to Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan will know that they're bullshitting them, and then they'll just drop a random fact about UFOs, and Joe Rogan will forgive them. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? Well, you know what I mean. Dude will go up there and be like, there are no Epstein files, but there are UFOs. And he'll be like, yo! He'll be like, yo! Yo, you're so cool, man.
Peter Thiel's family office in L.A.
Yeah, my friend Peter Thiel critiques me on this point just as you have. And my boss and good friend Peter Thiel was a supporter of Trump in the last election. I'm taking a huge risk in how much I love this guy Peter Thiel and how much he loves me. And people say, oh, okay, you're just a Peter Thiel tool. Well,
a friend of mine, Peter Thiel, and I always argue. It's like basically he's like, look, U.S. civilization.
I'm telling you, man, I've heard more people talking about Peter Thiel than I've ever heard of Peter Thiel talk. I'm telling you, man.
Is declining. You can tell because all the science fiction movies are negative.
The brain in the frying pan.
Yeah, this is your brain.
I remember once having lunch with Peter Thiel, and he was saying he was grown up with that.
The guy who made me feel really dumb and almost like a fraud was
Brendan Schaub.
Not Brendan Schaub. Peter Thiel. I was listening to him talk, and I went. Yeah, I met him. I had dinner at his house, and I was like, he was talking, and I realized that everything I say is basically an amalgam of the things I've read or heard.
And
this
he's
guy
one of the
thinks,
ones that write those things.
Yeah, he just thinks up things on his own.
Well, he started PayPal with Elon. Peter Thiel had a party at his house, and he brought over the guy who wrote Chariots of the God. No, we all had like a lunch around the table. He has these like power dinners and power lunches.
Really cool. Dude, this is so scary. Like, think about how fucking terrifying this is. Here's this guy that basically no one ever heard of, this Peter Thiel guy, who just kind of is connected to everybody. Literally everyone fucking has dinners with him and lunches with him and power lunches and meetings, and he's so smart and everyone likes him and they all love him and he loves them and he loves them. What are we fucking, dude? What is going on? You are part of the psyop. You think you're counterculture? You think you're counter elites? You are literally eating at their table, my brother.
It brings over interesting people and everyone has conversations.
That's the dream.
I went to one of the dinners.
And Peter Thiel is gay. Right? He's gay, right? That's a real thing. I didn't just make that up, right? Peter Thiel gay. This is important. This is important, okay? This is obviously important. This is important. We have to know. Peter Thiel is gay. Peter Thiel is gay, so it is appropriate.
House, and then I went to one of the lunches at his house.
And Thiel is more of a behind the scenes guy. He invests in companies, but also like people like podcasters, influencers, intellectuals, and politicians.
Why would he be investing in podcasters, right? He's some tech guy. Unless.
Like, he's arguably one of the most influential people in America.
Which is fucking crazy because, like, he's not elected anywhere. No one even knows who the fuck this guy is.
But last year he decided to make an appearance on Rogan's podcast. and all the comments were like, "Oh, Joe's interviewing his boss finally."
Oh, that's crazy. Joe Rogan having a conversation with his boss for 3 hours. No. Joe, ask about Palantir, asking about CIA funding, asking about Vance, how he made him, asking about all the dicey stuff. Not a single word about Palantir. What's going on? Oh my God. I love tinfoil hat time. And the funniest thing is, I think it's starting to actually really get to Joe Rogan. Because Joe Rogan, I think, really does genuinely pride himself as being like the everyman, right? He prides himself as being just the guy. I'm the average American, except I'm a billionaire. I'm fucking rich and everyone loves me and my podcast is very famous, but I'm Joe Rogan, right? I'm just an American. I'm no allegiances, no politics, no owners, no handlers. I'm just a guy doing things, asking questions, and he tries to be genuine. The craziest part is, despite the fact that he does, in my opinion, try to be genuine, he has been absolutely manipulated. Nick Fuentes actually tried to cozy up to Peter Thiel years back, and he got rejected. And now he's like the biggest Peter Thiel hater, interestingly enough. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Why isn't Joe asking him about Palantir, JD Vance, or CIA connections? So this is when people are like, all right, he's completely sold out. You know, like, what even is this podcast?
Right. Also, he's gay, which is, I think, the most important of all of these things.
So Peter, he just kept malfunctioning the whole time and could barely even...
Antichrist guy is gay? Oh, color me shocked. No, sorry. Had to do it.
Answer a question.
You don't feel that climate science is a real science?
It is
Bro, that's awful.
Well,
this is awful.
There's several different things one could say.
There is no way that is a fucking part of this podcast. This guy...
And the only interesting part was when they talked about Epstein, because Thiel, he's met with him before, and it was after he was already a convicted sex offender, which Thiel was during this podcast, but he leaves out that Epstein actually invested in one of his companies. So he kept trying to downplay Epstein's operation and act like the child sex trafficking wasn't as prevalent as people thought, and we should be more focused on who he's working for and why he's protected.
I don't know. You know, they're all the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theories, which I'm probably too fascinated by, because it felt like there was some crazy stuff going on that they were able to cover up,
and still are.
But then, man, doesn't it, the fact that we're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein tell us how hard it is to come up with anything else?
No.
Huh? What? How? What are you fucking talking about?
Because there's no answers.
Probably.
Yeah, we're still talking about it because they were fucking. They literally mass trafficked thousands of victims. And allegedly no one was arrested for it. That's why we're fucking talking about it.
Probably the sex stuff is overdone and everything
overdone. There's 1,000 victims. Bro, what are we doing?
Else is underdone. It's like a limited hangout. We get to talk about the crazy underage sex and you know, not about all the other questions. The question isn't about the sex with the underage women. The question is really about, you know, why was he so protected? And then, you know, I went
both.
down all these rabbit holes. Was he, you know, working for the Israelis or the Mossad or all this sort of stuff? And
all right,
I've come to think that was very secondary. It was obviously just the U.S. You know, if you're working for Israel, you don't get protected. You know, we had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever. But
unrelated.
Dude, I'll be real here. I thought that Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA guy. I thought it was CIA the entire time until Peter Thiel said that he's not Israeli. Now I think he's Israeli. All right, now I do. All right, I wasn't blaming the Jews before, but now that Peter Thiel doesn't blame the Jews, now I'm starting to think it's the Jews. I'm obviously kidding. So my opinion on Jeffrey Epstein, not that any of you care, I think that it's a joint operation between basically all of the big secret services. I think it's CIA, I think it's Mossad and MI5 that are all worked together, and French intelligence, that they all kind of had to do with Jeffrey Epstein. That's my opinion. I think it's a really more global thing, because they're all in each other's pockets.
Right.
Understood, but
this is one particular operation.
But it was if it was an intelligence operation, the question we should be asking is what part of the U.S.
And of course, Thiel thinks he was only working for U.S. intelligence. And Joe doesn't say it here, but he said a bunch of times on his podcast that he thinks it was Israeli intelligence. Also, usually when Joe is talking about someone who...
Yeah, he gave zero pushback, too. Damn, there was like no fucking pushback. That's crazy. Okay, hold on. Someone in my chat just said, look up Peter Thiel doesn't exist. And also, Peter Thiel's fucking sweating bullets. Did you see that? His face is sweating his ass off.
I think Jeffrey Epstein, weird sex stuff. I think it's a little bit weird. A little bit weird sex stuff.
Come on, dude. What are we fucking talking about? Peter Thiel, should humans survive? Where do I look this up on YouTube? Because if he has like the hot take if humans shouldn't survive, I don't know, bro. That's fucked up. No, because this dude's really weird, man. He is really weird. Is it this?
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
Bro.
Yes.
Bro,
I don't know. I would.
Bro, no! Oh my God!
I would.
What?
This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions in this.
No, there
you would prefer
aren't!
the human race to endure, right?
Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Get him the fuck out of there, bro. Get him out. Get him out. Peter Thiel asked about the Antichrist.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's. I don't think
sounds like something the Antichrist would say. Not gonna lie.
That's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again,
dude, this could have been Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, you could have fucking pushed back like this, dude.
There are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
Yeah, that was a nothing. Okay, all right. And meanwhile, Joe Rogan would be like, wow.
Usually when Joe is talking about someone who met with Epstein after he was convicted, he's like, that's insane. I can't believe it. But when Thiel tells him this, obviously he has nothing to say about it. And then he even defends him on another podcast.
Real weird thing is that he just gets out and gets like house arrest.
Yep.
And he gets like a little slap on the wrist, and then he's back in action with all these rich people again.
Yep.
Like really rich, influential people. Like Bill Gates is hanging out with him after he's already been arrested and convicted. Like that's
pretty weird, huh?
Bananas. And you were introduced to him. How was he described to you?
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world.
Interesting.
And
stop.
I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Joe Rogan tried so hard to give him the out. He tried so hard. He's like, no, you couldn't have known, bro. It's not your moral weakness. You couldn't have known. You couldn't have known. Bro's fucking sweating his ass off. No, it was after he was convicted.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
it was only the first one. It didn't really count. Didn't really count.
Okay.
And then after this, Joe had on Kurt Metzger, who's like, man, that guy Peter Thiel you just had on is the biggest liar ever. Like, what did he lie about? And then Kurt goes into what he was saying about Epstein. So Joe gets really defensive, and he has to come up with the biggest cope I've ever heard. This is unbelievable. He says there's no way Peter Thiel could be involved in a blackmail operation.
No, dude,
or a
stop.
child trafficking operation because he's gay. That's Joe Rogan's defense here.
Peter Thiel, I watch you talk to Peter Thiel. I've never seen someone lie so artlessly and autistically in my life.
What did he lie about?
Damn.
Oh, dude, I'm going to put this out about Epstein Island. Maybe just some guys were cheating on their wives. Yeah, maybe that's all it was, Peter. Some guys were cheating on their wives.
He's a gay guy, and he's not interested in going to that island. So
there's no way you're gonna have a guy that's literally gonna downplay fucking sex trafficking 1,000 kids. All right, and bro's gonna be like, bro, maybe you're just hating on him because he's gay. I don't know.
Oh, he's probably on the outs.
Mr. Antichrist over here clearly didn't understand the Bible because there's something about gay people in the Bible that just has a different perspective.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Also, weren't there young boys on that island?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he supposedly ever
That's
went.
not the only game in town.
Oh, I'm sure there's gay blackmail, but you can't when a guy's single and gay, like, what are you going to get on him? That he fucks other guys? If
See, that's why they didn't want gay marriage.
Yeah, so that was an interesting take. I guess Joe thinks there are no gay PDF files.
Yeah.
I mean, after hearing this, I think Thiel might...
Joe Rogan went woke. There's no gay pedophiles, guys. Yeah, all right, dude. Okay, all right. Nice attempt. An attempt was made. This might have been the worst fucking attempt at saving face I've ever seen in my life. Defending him because there aren't gay pedophiles, that might be the worst defense I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
They have blackmail on him.
Yeah,
but it seems like Joe might be trying to distance himself a little bit, or at least give the illusion that he's distancing himself from Thiel after this recent podcast.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. I think he got an unbelievable amount of backlash that he kind of became a useful idiot for the elites, and he kind of feels really shitty about it.
And at one point, Joe asked Tim about a dinner he turned down with Thiel, and Tim says he just doesn't really trust him. And also, he was complaining about how the tech people never have good food at their dinners. That's definitely a big part of it too.
Understandable.
You know, if you want to win Tim over, you better make sure you
Understandable,
have a 5-star
dude.
feast for him.
Based.
Like JD Vance, he must have picked a good restaurant to get Tim to go to that.
That's what
meeting with
I'm
him.
talking about.
I don't think Peter Thiel eats food like.
But also, JD Vance is like a really fun guy. Like, I don't give a shit, Margaret. Oh, dude's fucking hilarious.
Person, I think it's like he has some type of
What?
Reptilian.
You know.
What do you think?
I think a lot of these tech people, like, they don't like food. They're not food people. A lot of these tech people. I went to a few of these tech things.
Well, yeah, because he probably eats live rats or some shit, like other reptiles.
Austin, it's not the food's never the thing. They're not like food people. They're not like, ooh, let me eat food. Like,
they're not like doing like things that like humans do. You know what I'm saying? Like humans like food. I like food. You know what I'm saying? Look at me. I'm fat as fuck. I like food. Okay. Then that guy just doesn't like food. Like he eats because like, you know, like he tries to like keep up appearances, but he doesn't actually like really like food. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
You're not either. Like real old school, like waspy.
Didn't you get invited to have lunch or something, dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people, and I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them because
and then covering his bases. Not saying there's anything evil about Antichrist guy that thinks that humanity shouldn't exist. Not saying there's anything weird or evil about that dude that downplayed Epstein Island, or not saying any of that. But I am saying that, not my vibe, you know?
You see there's people in there.
And Tim has to be careful.
Look at the fear in his eyes. They don't want this man banished to the shadow realm of the Palantir.
Here because Joe's been to the dinners and a lot of his friends have. So when Tim says he didn't want to meet with him because he doesn't really trust him completely, Joe's like, yeah, but you'll take money from Saudi Arabia. So he kind of takes a dig at him. And then Joe talks about how he met with Thiel. And after that, Tim's like, yeah, I didn't want to go because I still want to be able to make fun of him. And Joe's like, oh, do you think that's part of the reason why he invited you? And Tim's like, yeah. And Joe kind of agrees with him. So he's pretending to realize that Thiel's just using him. And then also Tim tries to explain that to him as well.
I'm a little wary of that circle of people. And I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Of course.
And perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein. I forget who else.
I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like Peter Thiel. People
He's a
that
nice
know
guy.
him
I've
go,
had
he's
him
a
on the
nice guy.
podcast.
He's a smart guy.
Right, probably.
Yeah. I get invited to a lot of dinners and a lot of things. And what I try to do is I try to say to myself,
the serpent in the Garden of Eden was really nice to Eve until she ate the fruit. Just saying.
I need to be able to criticize people and make fun of them.
Right.
So, it felt like really weird to go to this guy's house and then shit on him the next day.
Do you think that's part of the strategy of inviting you to go to places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most
I think
likely.
so too.
Everyone has an agenda, and that's completely understandable. And I think what they try to do is sometimes launder that agenda through some cultural space, however they want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's happened forever. It's not new. It's not unique because there's an internet. 1,000%.
Oh my fucking God, I'm shaking. There's no way this is true. Someone in my chat just said it, and I have to do this. Hold on. This is my political retard chart. Hold on. No. Peter Thiel. The rep. No way, dude. This can't be real. Stop. This can't be real. Oh my fucking God. Peter Thiel is an anagram of the reptile. Oh my fucking God! You've got to be shitting me! My Lord! Come on! What are we doing? Come on! Sorry, I used the same T for both of them. But there's two T's. Oh my God! There's no way! This is crazy. This is some I am Lord Voldemort shit. What are we doing? What is even happening? Someone in my chat just said this. I was like, no. And it was like, you know what? We gotta fucking put this one out. Actually, it is the right letters. Oh my god, you've got to be fucking kidding me, dude. What the hell, bro?
There's people that want the world to look a certain way. What he wants, like, I'm sure it was like a lovely, like, he goes, I want to talk about the media. And you're like a comedian, but you're in the media, and like, you know, he has a bunch of people to his house. There's probably smart people that go.
Yeah, he likes to have
and they
these
talk about the media.
big thought, like tank conversations.
Yeah. And I just felt
Yeah,
like
lots of think tank. Yeah, we're having a think tank conversation. Let's get some comedian podcasters here. Yeah, fucking right. He's literally using you guys. You are all being used. Now, that's fine if that's what you want, but just at least admit it, come to terms with it. Of course you're being used. Oh, we're getting all the tech billionaire geniuses and a couple of podcast bros to really come up with the solutions of humanity. Yeah, fucking right. I'm sure Joe Rogan's input is very, very exciting to Peter Thiel.
Appeal to me.
And it's funny Tim even has to explain this to Joe, because Joe's explained this a billion times on his podcast, you know, how billionaires have too much power and influence over the media and politics. And also, obviously, he'll talk about how sketchy it is that they're connected to Epstein. But then, like, right after he gets done talking about this, the next day, he'll have on a billionaire that's connected to Epstein that's just trying to use his podcast to gain more influence and power. But of course, billionaires, they're the good ones that met with Epstein.
Right, they're the good ones.
Also, Joe's coping over this by acting like when Peter Thiel first invited him over, his podcast wasn't very...
They're one of the good ones. All of his friends, they're the good ones. The not friends, those are not the good ones. Every time. That's just how it happens. It's like, I was invited to have a discussion with the greatest technological minds of our age. Hey, Jamie, could you pull up an image of a silverback gorilla?
Popular. Like, there'd be no reason for Thiel to think he's useful. Like Joe said, he wasn't influential at the time, but this was in, I think, 2018 or 2019 possibly. So that's complete bullshit. You know, he had the most popular podcast in the world, and he got that Spotify deal just a year or two later.
Yep.
So it's really weird. He acts like, oh, I was a nobody back then. You know.
Yeah, you weren't a nobody. You were the biggest podcast. You still are the biggest podcast.
Why he brought me over the house to meet Eric Von Daniken. But
to own you, bro. To own you.
I was not that influential back then.
Right.
I was not someone that you would have on the radar as being the guy who is...
Right. Oh, get out of here. Dude, this is fucking Palantir, man. This dude plans to spy on everyone. But you think you're not on the radar?
Yeah.
I was a MMA commentator.
Sure.
Oh, please. Oh, get out of here.
Right.
Like, that was it. And I had Eric on my podcast before, and that's how Eric and I became friends. And he knew that I had a deep interest in, and I've read Von Daniken's book. I've watched his
Von Daniken's the alien guy, right?
Documentary, and I know that a lot of that stuff has been debunked. And that's one of the reasons why they wanted to bring me over to ask him questions.
Yeah, so Thiel's not going to like this podcast. I mean, they also talked about how he's a Christian, and Tim explained...
Yeah, he's a pseudoscience guy that talks about aliens and shit.
How he's using religion to try to get people on board with AI and transhumanism.
Wait, Peter Thiel's a Christian? I thought he was Jewish. Is Peter Thiel Christian? Yes, Peter Thiel's a Christian. Damn, I didn't know that. He was raised in an evangelical Lutheran household. Damn, okay, interesting. Didn't know that. All right.
Which, of course, being religious and pro-transhumanism seems like a massive contradiction, but this guy will make sense out of anything. I mean, also, Joe's like, how does he reconcile being gay with being a Christian? Like, that's his biggest hypocrisy. You know, the guy's a walking...
I mean, that is a hypocrisy if you're going to be religious by the book Christian, I suppose. But then again, it's not like it says anywhere in the Bible that you're not allowed to be gay. You're just not allowed to have... A man is just not allowed to have sex with other men. That's what it says in the Bible. Like, it's an orientation is not punished. It's only action. So I don't see it necessarily as a contradiction unless he's, you know, married. In which case, yeah, that seems like a bit of a spit in the face of biblical teachings, if that's what you believe in, right?
Prediction. Of course, he's going to find a way to justify anything.
A lot of them,
Thiel the super
of
Christian?
course. Everyone.
How does he reconcile that with the gay stuff?
I don't know how anyone reconciles anything with anything. But
Right.
Great answer.
like I think he's. I don't know, but they've realized they have to sell the AI stuff and the eventual augmenting of the biology, all of that to Americans. And there'll probably be a lot of the objections to that will probably be religious or rooted in religion.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
I don't want to be but if you can somehow launder it and go, no, God likes and wants you to have the autonomous drone. You have to position
Yeah, I highly doubt that that's the philosophy here personally, but who knows?
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm sure he can reconcile the gay stuff with the way there's tons of gay Christians. I'm sure he's a very smart guy. He'll be able to figure it out.
That's an interesting strategy.
Well, that's
yeah. I don't think so personally. That's just my opinion, I guess.
That does make sense though as a strategy. That's how you would approach things.
You would have to.
Yeah.
You would have to. You'd have to go out and say, the good news is God wants you to have all of these things, which isn't Christianity.
So this dude is, according to Tim Dillon over here, this guy is literally only a Christian to trick Christians. He's only a Christian to trick Christians into believing that Palantir is the will of God. That's crazy. That's an insane fucking strat.
It's some other, they've concocted something else. If you're augmenting your biology to live forever or to live a lot longer.
Bro, they're locked into the immortality theories too. Oh my God.
And you are seeding clouds and doing all of this stuff, then you are playing God.
Yeah, so it's wild.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think so. I personally don't think he's doing it to launder. I think he actually probably is a religious man. I just, if you look throughout history, you look at the Bible, okay? I don't even know why we even need to talk about this. If you even just look at the Bible, a lot of the people that were wicked fully believed in God, all right? They fully believed in God. They just, they were put in positions of power, and they were corrupted by power. But it's not that they didn't believe in anything. You just look at basically any figure in history. So I don't think that this is necessarily contradictory at all, actually. In fact, I think, Balaam from the Bible, he was a prophet, a wicked prophet. You know what I'm talking about? So that dude was obviously evil. He was a very evil guy that did unbelievable atrocities. But despite that, he was still a prophet. He was able to prophesy actual prophecies from God. So I don't see it necessarily as some sort of contradiction.
Wild that Peter Thiel, who's a gay transhumanist immigrant, is one of the most influential people on the right. It's kind of impressive that he pulled this off, considering everything he does and believes in. Also, he has an interesting take on transgenderism. Most people on the right would say it's wrong because it's unnatural, but Thiel's criticism of it is basically the opposite of that. He thinks it's still too natural and it doesn't go far enough.
No! That's not real. That's not real.
And he uses Christianity to try to justify this theory.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right?
Oh God, not this clip.
You're hesitant.
This is the worst I've ever
I don't know.
seen.
I would.
This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions in
Should
this.
the human race survive?
There literally are not lots of questions.
Yes.
Okay.
But I also transhumanism is this. The ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context.
Bro, okay, before we even get there, what are you even fucking talking about? What are you even saying? It is literally nowhere is this stated in any form of religious scripture. Are we supposed to use tech to fucking turn ourselves into immortal Decepticons? What are we even talking about? Literally, that is not true. Literally, if you look at religion, all right, religious scripture teaches us that the beauty of our life is its transience, is the fact God is an unbelievable, immortal, infinite being. We are a small part of God. We are existing in a transient state. That is literally the purpose. All right, this is actual heresy, and he's preaching it like it's God's judgment. It's crazy. Dude is an actual Adeptus Mechanicus freak. Holy. Modern interpretation? What are we even talking about? What are we even saying? God isn't gonna give us new bodies. Man is! Submit to the Omnissiah! He is literally fucking going down some crazy paths here.
A transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross-dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is...
we want to go even further than transgenderism. What the fuck is he talking about? Now, again, this is why this is retarded. He says a transvestite is where it's literally prohibited in the Bible, right? I'll show it to you. Like, so that's why I think that whenever I hear like these fucking these freaking dudes go out there and they'll all go out and they fucking yap and they're like, oh, my interpretation of God is this. Look, if you want to be a atheist or whatever, your business, all right? But like, if you want to believe in God, well then don't put words in his mouth, right? It's in this chapter somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if I can find it. It's crazy, bro. Where is it? Let's see if I can find it. 20. A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. All right, so look, man, you could do whatever you want, all right? You could do whatever you want, but like, if it's directly contradicting the actual scripture, bro, like directly contradicting scripture, don't put words in God's mouth. Oh, when God said don't be a transvestite, what he actually said, be a super transvestite. Oh, please, dude.
That it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And okay, we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able.
We got to start calling these people abominations. Just kidding.
To change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body.
What?
And then Orthodox Christianity, by the way, the critique Orthodox Christianity has of this is these things don't go far enough. Like
what?
That transhumanism is just changing your body, but you also need to transform your soul, and you need to transform your whole self. And so,
right, but the other wait. Sorry. The
Why'd you interrupt this man? He was literally cooking. Why would you do this? Never interrupt your opponent when he's kicking his own ass.
Of Christianity.
Bro's a fucking clanker lover. What are we doing?
In the end, is you get the perfected body and the perfected soul through God's grace. And the person who tries to do it on their own with a bunch of machines is likely to end up as a dystopian character.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well,
this literally sounds like comic book villain shit.
Let's articulate this.
And you can have a heretical form of Christianity, that says something else.
I don't know. I think the word nature does not occur once in the Old Testament. It is about transcending nature. It is about
nature. What do you mean nature? I don't understand. What about nature? It talks about men and women, like they're natural beings. What is it supposed to say? Nature is cool and poggers? What? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
Overcoming things.
Yeah, so that's our vice president's handler. Definitely nothing suspicious about him.
Yikes!
Nothing to worry about. At least that's what Duncan Trussell thinks, one of Rogan's closest longtime friends. He went to one of Thiel's talks about the Antichrist and said he's a completely normal dude, nothing to worry about, and he's pissed that people say he's like the Antichrist. So in Elephant Graveyard's new video, he called Duncan out on this and exposed him, and now Duncan's just been spiraling over it. It's not going well. And I just posted a big video about that over on Patreon. So if you enjoyed this video, want extra content, and want to make sure you stay up to date with everything, that's definitely...
Yeah, of course, I'll link him in the description. No, that was crazy. So yeah, so I do think Joe Rogan is going on some crash out spiral, because I do think if he's actually being used by this Peter Thiel guy, and it's actually kind of terrifying. Like, he is actually being utilized. He doesn't even realize how much of a useful idiot compromised character he is for these tech oligarchs or whatever they call them. But anyway, personally, I have one thing to say about JD Vance. All right, I have one thing to say about JD Vance. This is the greatest tweet on all of Twitter. All right, killing cartel members who poison fellow citizens is highest and best use of our military. Killing the citizens of another nation where civilians of any due process is called a war crime. I don't give a shit what you call it. The greatest tweet of all time! See you in the next video. That was a banger. Bye! Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.